Hello and welcome to our Wednesday morning training. I've got some neat stuff that I want to share with you, and I can't wait to jump in and actually show you what I've got. I'm going to show you a couple of different tools that you can use in BuilderAll that are really, really cool, and maybe some innovative ways that you can use them. And let's go ahead and get started because I got a lot to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And then I'm going to go into my dashboard here in BuilderAll, and this is just one of my test accounts. And I'm going to go down and go to Builders, Pixel Perfect, and I'm going to create a brand new site. So I'm just going to click New Site. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a playground. If you haven't done this already, it's really good to create a playground inside your account and use that particular website to kind of play with all the different things that you can do in the Pixel Perfect Builder. It's great to have just one website you designated as your playground. So you can test some new features, practice things, and just kind of play with all the elements that come with the Pixel Perfect. So to do that, all you need to do is go to blank page, and it will give you a whole list of pages that are not so blank, and then some that are completely blank. I'm going to go with the completely blank. So I'm going to go with this blank layout clean, and I'm going to click edit. And that's going to work on opening up the editor for me so I can start building my playground. But the first thing I need to do once everything loads, and you need to give it a few minutes to load because it's dropping a little over 5 million lines of code onto your computer. It takes a minute. But once that happens, you need to go up to the top right-hand side and you need to click Save. When you do that, it's going to pop up and it's going to say your site. Just make sure it's named in all lowercase letters, no spaces. And I'm just going to call this Playground. And I already have a playground in this account, so I'm going to go ahead and create a playground 4 because I think I already have 3 other ones. So I'm going to name this Playground 4, and then I'm going to click Send. And then I'm going to click Save. And now I've saved my playground, and it's actually ready for me to start playing in it so I can use, practice, and really look at some of these elements that we have in the Pixel Perfect Builder, and we can actually really see the power of this builder. Now, I've gone through the menus before in some of my training, but I do want to kind of go through the menu because there's a lot of you guys that have not seen me show you how these menus work, and there's some things that are like hidden in plain sight. So I'm going to go through the menus really quickly and show you what all you've got just on this Pixel Perfect Builder. So I'm going to go to the top right side first. And this item right here, it says panel. And if you want to open your menu and do it at the same time with me, you actually can. This first button panel, you're not really going to use that unless you use the e-commerce platform that's inside of the Pixel Perfect. But when you click that panel, it will take you to the e-commerce configuration panel where you can set up the products, the categories, the taxes, the shipping, all that kind of stuff. So that's what you're going to click and go to if you're building an e-commerce site. The next one is Save. And let me tell you something, Save is your friend. You always want to be using Save frequently. It will save you for sure. And always, 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 if you're opening up a project and getting ready to get started, don't edit, and then save. First thing you do before you even do anything is click Save and name that website. That way you know you've got it saved, and then you can start working and save every once in a while as you go through. Every time you add a page or add a layout, that's a really big thing working in the Pixel Perfect, so you need to click Save. So there's just every time you think of it, you want to go up there and click Save. So the next one is Preview. This is fabulous because you can preview what your website is going to look like. Now, it doesn't work perfectly for all elements, so you still want to have it published, and you want to look at the live site every once in a while too. You kind of compare it to the preview and make sure that everything is looking great on the live site as well. Preview is also great because there's a really neat feature in Preview. So if I click that button over on the left-hand side, I've actually got a little icon that looks like a camera. And if I click that, I can use that to take a screenshot of my website. And why is that important? Why do I worry about a screenshot of my website? Well, we've got a great thing called Design Studio. And let me jump in there and show you why it's cool. So I'm going to go to Apps, and I'm going to go to Design Studio. Actually, I'm going to go up here to Design and Design Studio. And when I click Design Studio, it has a bunch of mock-ups. And as you can see, it's got pictures of computers, like right here. Here's a woman holding a computer, and you'll see a blue area right there. That blue area is the mask area. So you can actually take a picture of your website. Whenever you get your website finished, you can take an image of it, put it inside of that picture of the computer, so it actually looks like your website is on that computer. And then you can take that picture and put it into your website, into advertising, whatever you want to do. So it's actually a really neat feature that you've got that little camera icon. So you can take an image of your website and put it into a mock-up like that, and then use that mock-up somewhere in your advertising or somewhere in your website. So that is a really, really neat feature. It works really similar to like Snagit or Jing and some of those other things that allow you to capture images. So I'm going to go back, and that was the preview button. So the next item is grid lines. And if I click that, what you'll see is a line on the left-hand side, a line on the right-hand side, and then you've got some horizontal lines on the top and on the bottom. And what that does is it separates out a frame of your website so that you can clearly see where your header is, where your footer is, and where the body is. And then between these two grid lines here are the most important areas of your website, which is that middle part. So anything you want your website visitor to see, you need to make sure it appears in between these grid lines. Now, does that mean you cannot put something outside of the grid line? No, you can put something outside of that grid line, but there's a chance they may not see it. The visitor may not see it. So anything you want them to see, keep it inside the grid lines. And how is this possible, right? How in the world is it going to be, you see something on one screen and you don't see something on another? Well, that's because we have different sized screens, right? There's some people that have those mamma jamma 32-inch full resolution screens. They can see from one end of the screen to the other and plenty of space in between. And then you've got people that have little bitty 9 and 10-inch netbooks, and they've got a teeny tiny screen. All they're going to see is from this grid line to this grid line. They're not going to see any of the extra. So it just depends on what type of monitor you have as to exactly what's going to show. So you want to make sure that all of your important content and what you want the user to see is in between those grid lines. Okay. Also, a really important concept that I want you to understand, and we'll talk more about this later, is headers and footers. Because when you have pages inside of a layout, every single page inside of a layout is going to have the same header and the same footer. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Okay, so that's the importance of the grid lines. If the grid lines are in the way and they're bothering you, you can actually click that button again and it will take away the grid lines. I personally like to leave them there because they remind me where my content needs to go, and it helps me to kind of keep everything centered. I have a tendency to go off center a little bit because that's my personality, a little bit off center. But if I have those grid lines there, it helps me kind of keep everything lined up nice and neat. So I like the grid lines there. The next button is the ruler. And if you click the ruler, at the top, you've got rulers that show up, and on the right-hand side, you've got a ruler that shows up. And this is a great tool to use to kind of help you gauge the size of things, kind of compare, this one's little compared to this one's big. You put it up to the ruler and kind of measure them. But here's what it's really cool for, and that is you've got some guidelines. If you click right on the ruler, just a regular left click, you can actually create guidelines, and you can do it on the other ruler as well. So you can create these amazing guidelines that actually help you to line things up and make your website really, really nice and neat and clean. I don't know about you guys, but I've been to those websites where you could tell people eyeballed it. Do not eyeball it because it's crazy, you guys. If you have one picture that's, on your screen, and then another picture that's just slightly off, maybe even just 2 pixels off, so they're not lined up, even though your brain really isn't going to say, oh my gosh, that picture was 2 pixels off, your brain still registers as uncomfortable because it's not lined up right. So use these guidelines to help you line things up. And here's the cool thing about the guidelines. I'm just going to add a box in here. This is what I call the Shelly box. And when I add this box, I'm going to resize a little bit. I want you to watch what happens when I get close to a guideline. If I get really close, it's got snap to. You see that? Where it snaps right to it. And even the horizontal ones are snap to. So that helps you really line these things up and make them look very, very nice and neat and clean. Like you took a very long, careful time to build your website and make it nice and neat. And so that's the value of these guidelines, is to make sure to help you really keep your website nice and neat. So let's say you've been working with the guidelines and you want to move one. Well, you just click and drag it and you can move it anywhere you want to. And then when you're done, you can make them disappear. You can just right click on them and they'll actually disappear off of the ruler. And you can take them off and create some new guidelines if you want to. It's whatever you want to do. And then when you're all done working with the ruler and you don't need it, you want to get it out of the way, you can actually click the ruler again and it will disappear. So that's a fabulous way to help you start lining things up on your website. The next buttons are undo and redo. And you guys know these. You've worked in PowerPoint, you've worked in Word, you've worked in Google Docs. This is exactly the same. Undo undoes your last thing that you did. Redo actually puts the last thing you did back in place. So undo and redo is very common. The next one, and this one's a really cool one. This is show hide elements. If I click on it, a box shows up and it shows me the hidden things that are in my website. And right now there's nothing hidden, but I can hide this box so that only I can see it, not the website visitor, only me. So I can actually right click this and I go to this little eyeball with a slash in it. When you hover over the eyeball, it says hide. I'm going to click that and it sends it right into the hidden area. And so it's not appearing in my website anymore. Any visitors that came to see my website would not see that box, but at any time, I can actually bring the box back by clicking this little arrow and it puts it right back in the same place that it was. So why is this valuable? You can actually pre-make coupons. You can pre-make things that you want to put on your site. You can create them and then hide them so people can't see them. But then when you're ready to implement the coupon, you don't have to create it from scratch. You can just pull it back in, maybe change it to 10% off instead of 15% off that it was last time. But boom, you've got a coupon ready to go. You don't have to remake it every single time. You can keep a couple different pictures in there. So if you want to rotate pictures out on your website frequently, you can kind of hide those pictures in there and then rotate them out every once in a while. So you can kind of change the content without having to do it from scratch every time. So it's really a neat feature. We use it in the weekly webinar area. When you go to your webinar on Monday, we have the replay video and then the live video on top of it. And when we're doing the live video, it's on top. When we're doing the replay, the live video is hidden. So it's just on top and then hidden, on top and then hidden. It's actually that easy. So there's a lot of neat stuff you can do with this this hidden area. But another thing I do with it is I keep track of all the colors that I want for my website. So I make color boxes of all the colors I'll be using, and then I hide them here so I can go back to them and get them if I want them, but they're a part of the site always, so I can go back and check that. Really simple to do. And then this box itself, it'll stay showing until you click the show hidden elements again, and it will make the box disappear. So you can click on it to see the box and then click on it again to get rid of the box. Okay. The next one, and this is a really cool one, this is backlighting. Now, the backlighting isn't really that valuable when you're working in the desktop view. But if I go over here to the mobile view, here's what's happening on this view is I've got a white background and then I've got the white of the cell phone. And you can imagine if you've been working in this for a little bit, everything starts to get white, right? You experience a whiteout. And it gets confusing where those lines are. You're tired, your eyeballs are tired, all that kind of stuff. So you can click the backlight. And what that does is it creates a background that's darker for you so that mobile pops out and you can work in it a little bit better. Now, if that gray is a little bit too dark, you can click the backlight again. It makes it a little bit lighter gray, so it's not quite so harsh. And then if you want to go back to the white, you can actually click it one more time and it will take you back to the white background so you can work in the white background again. So that's just the backlight, and that's an easy one to help you with your tablet view and your mobile view so that you can work a little bit easier on the eyes. So I'll go back to desktop. And the next thing I want to do is show you this button right here. This is change border. And to show this to you really well, I'm going to change the appearance of the box, and I'm going to make this box clear, which means no color. So if I just click the trash can on background color, it's going to make it clear or transparent. So now this box is transparent, and I want you to notice that I've got a green border around it. That's to tell me where the edges of that element are at, right? If I click off of that, I can't even see that box anymore. But if I hover over it, it'll actually show me a really light green border to say, hey, you've got something here. If I click on it, it will actually outline it and give me those little circle handles again so I can resize and do whatever I want with it. Now, if I click that change border button, what happens is it changes the color of my border. And why is this important? Why would we want to change the color of the border when only we are going to be able to see it? Well, I want you to imagine if I had a background that was the same color as this green border, I would not be able to see the borders of my elements. But if I click the change border color, I can change the border color so it contrasts with the background and I can see those borders. So you can see I click the button and it changed the color to blue. If I click the button again, it changes the color to a darker gray. If I click it again, it's actually a really, really light gray. You can't see it because it's almost invisible, but it is a really light gray. And then if I click again, it actually changes it back to the green again. So this is a way for you to manage your border colors no matter what color your background is of your website. So it's really handy to help you find those elements on your page. Once you start dealing with transparent boxes, which you will, these are great containers to put things in to be able to move them around. So for example, let me go to here and we'll go to boxes and we'll click the Shelly box again because that's my favorite one. If I click and drag this box over that invisible box, you can see that that invisible box is actually lit up. That means if I drop this box on top of the invisible box, it's going to be attached to the invisible box. So now when I click and drag that invisible box, the little one goes with it. That's fabulous. That's going to allow you to space things and put things together in group format inside your website. And then you can just click the invisible box and drag it all around and put it where you want to. So you can set up your spacing first inside of the box and then move the box where you want it to be. So you do have to have that those border colors to be able to see where everything is at. So use that change border color to make sure you can see your borders and you can see how they work. That way you can see those boxes and stuff and really start working with them and use them to the fullest extent that you can use them. So that was the change border button. Right here, I've got a drop-down menu, and it shows me all of the layouts that I have in my website and all of the pages. Now, a layout is a collection of pages. That's all it is. That's all it is. A layout is a collection of pages. Inside a layout, every single page is going to have the same header and the same footer. So if you want a page that you want to have a different header and a different footer, you're going to need to create a new layout. That's how you have to do it. So that's an important concept to remember, is all pages in a single layout have the same header and the same footer. Once you kind of understand that process, building headers and footers and even doing navigation is a lot easier. Okay, so that's your little menu to see all your pages and all your layouts. And it also allows you to navigate from page to page. So if you want to go to a different page to edit, you just click on the page and it will take you to that page and you can start editing that page. Okay, so that's that top menu there. Now I'm going to go to the left-hand side to the top menu. We've got a few really neat icons here. First of all, the desktop mode. This allows me to edit in the desktop version of this website. We have another mode that's tablet mode, but it's actually disabled. And it's disabled because the desktop version is responsive, which means automatically for the tablet, it's going to shrink everything up to fit on the tablet. You don't have to do any work to make that happen. It does it all by itself. And it's magical. I mean, like Disneyland magical. It's really good. But we have the mobile version on here And that's because when you talk about taking something that's on the desktop that's this wide and this big, and then you talk about shrinking it all the way down. When we go to tablet, it does it really well. But then when we go to mobile, it has a heck of a time being able to make that responsive and respond to how small those screens are. And not only how small they are, but how many different versions are out there, right? We've got Samsung, we've got iPhone, we've got the Google phones, we've got the, there's so many different styles and types. And not only the styles and types, but then the operating systems that operate them. So you can imagine how hard it is to take this big screen and make it perfectly responsive for every device on mobile. So what we've done is we've actually created a situation where it's adaptive, which means you can take that desktop view and you can adapt it the way you want it to look for mobile. And I love this feature because we can actually, we can make it look however we want to. We can make it look just exactly like the desktop with a little bit of work, or we can actually make it different than the desktop. We can say, all right, I want to add this element, but I'm going to take this one out because they really don't need it on mobile, and I don't want them to have to download it onto their mobile device and use up all their bandwidth and use up all their data. So I'm going to streamline the mobile. You have that control with this because it's adaptive. You can put whatever you want on there. So I love that part of it. So when you are ready to edit, you just click that mobile icon and you are ready to edit. You can drag your elements over there and put them in there and actually start creating the mobile version to look exactly like you want it to look. And again, if that white on white is a little bit too much for you, you can click that backlight and make it appear a little bit easier so you can work on it. And then when you're done, just change the backlight back to white and you're ready to go. Now, what happens if you want to adapt the tablet? You say, you know what, I want a completely different version on the tablet and I want to change it. I don't want it to look exactly like the desktop. You can actually do that if you want to. All you need to do is go to these double gears. You go to the website settings, and on tablet mode right here, you set it to yes instead of no, and then click your little save. Little save is your buddy. Remember, little save is your buddy, big save is your friend. Make sure you write that down somewhere. Little save is your buddy, big save is your friend. So now we've actually enabled the tablet mode, and I can actually go into tablet mode and actually build the tablet mode version as well. If I don't want it to look like the desktop, I want it to look different, I can build it and adapt it myself. And again, this works like the mobile. If I want to change that backlight, I can change it, and I can work on the tablet a little bit easier. And then when I'm done, change that backlight back to white. So I'm going to go and turn my tablet view off. So all I do is go to website settings, and here's my tablet mode. I'm going to click it and say no, and then little save is my buddy, and big save is my friend. There we go. So that's all you do. It's that easy. There's a lot of work involved with adapting a tablet and adapting a mobile. So make sure you take the time to look at some of the training that's out there on how to optimize your mobile view to make it work for you and make sure it doesn't change your desktop. There's a lot of tips and tricks you can find out. So I'm going to go back to desktop mode. We've got a couple more buttons up here, but I'm going to actually move over to the left-hand side menu, and we're going to talk about these buttons here because there's a lot involved with these. So if I go to this page icon and click it, this is where I can see where all my layouts are, okay? And right now I just have one layout. It's the default layout. And if I click the arrow right there, I can find out what pages are in that layout. So I'm going to click the button, and it looks like there's one page in that layout. Now here's all the buttons that I have to manage the layout. So I've got several things I can do with the entire layout. I can delete it, which, you know, this is the only layout, so it's not going to let me delete it. Then I've got a button where I can change the background. And what this means is you can go in and change the background on the layout, which affects every single page on that layout. So make sure you remember that, because if you've got a background setting and you can't figure out why you can't get rid of the background, check the background on the layout and see if maybe you put it there. We can control the fonts that are available to use inside this layout. What are the standard fonts for this layout? We can actually set that up here. Then we've got settings for this layout. And if I click that button, it allows me to do a lot of neat things with this layout. For example, the first one is the favicon. And if you have ever seen this, when you go up to your tabs on your browser, if you take a look here, I've got Messenger, and then it's got the little icon right there of the Messenger icon, right? That's a favicon. It's teeny, teeny, tiny. It goes up on your browser tab. You can change that favicon right here. So you can have any icon you want. You create it and you can put it up there. And let's see, I've got one right here. This is the one of my websites, and I've got a little favicon right here. That's actually, it's so teeny you can't see it, but it's the BuilderAll octopus with flames around it. So it's really cool. But that's the favicon that I put up there for that particular browser tab. So you can change that on the layout. You also have a title, which is SEO sensitive, description, which is SEO sensitive, and then also keywords for that layout, which are SEO sensitive. So you've got a lot of power in manipulating your SEO just on the layout. And then you've got meta tags. So if you're good at implementing meta tags, you can use those. Here's where you can put your Facebook pixel script. So if you want your pixel to fire when they hit your website, you can put your script right there. If you've got other analytics like Google Analytics scripts, you can add those right here. And then any other scripts that you have that you want to put onto your website, and it's required to go into like the head, or it needs to be added to your website, you can add that right here in this area. And then the bottom item is mailing boss integration. We've got some really, really cool advanced features that are mailing boss integration things. And you can actually manage that right here at the bottom of the layout settings. When you're done with the layout settings and you make any changes, you need to click your little save, and because it's your buddy. And then you need to go to big save because it's your friend. And then when you're done, you just click the little return arrow and you're back to where your settings were for your layout. The last button on here is the padlock. This is so valuable right here. That little bitty button is so incredibly valuable because it's going to allow you to create a protected membership area. And so you can actually call a layout a protected layout, which means that people cannot get into that layout unless you've given them permission or they've paid to get in there. This is fabulous because this allows you to now create membership areas that people have to pay to get into. You can create courses that people have to pay to get into. You can create content that people have to pay to get to. So it's absolutely fabulous way to monetize an area of your website. So the only way people get access is if they go through the payment system, and it's automated. So you don't have to like check on it or manually give them access. It's set up so that when you set it up correctly and they go through the payment process, it releases that area for them and they get access. So it is absolutely fabulous way to set up monetization for your website. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there that have really good, amazing talents. You can monetize those talents by putting them inside of a membership area and then selling membership accounts. So it's really, really great. So those are the layout settings. Now, if I go to this page area, so I'm on the home page, I've got a little gear button right here. If I click that, that takes me to the page settings. Okay, we were in the layout settings before. Now we're in the page settings. And I want you to notice I've got some more buttons at the top. And these are the buttons that allow me to manage my page. So the first button is this red trash can. If I want to delete the trash can, if I want to delete the page, I can click that trash can. The next button is the change background. Remember, we had change background on the layout setting, and that allowed us to change the background on all of the pages in the layout. We also have changed the background on just the page. So you can change just that page's background, not all the pages. So that gives you a lot of power to be able to really manipulate how these pages look. The next button is the conversion tracking system. And this allows you to create your A/B split test. And also you can track clicks on your website for buttons and images, anything that has an action. You can create click analytics so that you can monitor what's happening with that item. Are they clicking it? And how often are they clicking it? The next button is the transfer page. This allows you to take a page from one layout and send it into another layout. What's the value in that? Let's say you've got a page that you like the header and footer that's in a different layout. You can send that page to the new layout and it gets the new header and the new footer that's in that layout. So there's a lot of neat ways that you can really use this transfer page to get the layouts that you want, I'm sorry, the headers and footers that you want, and just help you manage where those pages are and how they look. And then the last button is the duplicate. If you really like the design of your page, you can actually duplicate it and use it almost like a template. I do that with my membership areas. I'll create a membership page where I'm doing a course, and I'll create one page that has all the stuff on there that I like to be able to present the material, and that's my template page. And then every time I add, I just duplicate that page and it's ready to go. I make a few changes and that's it. So duplicate is also another really great tool to have for pages. The next button is the configure pop-up. You can actually add a pop-up to any page. And the cool thing is that you can set the pop-up to trigger when they arrive on the page, when they start scrolling down, when they get to the bottom, or you can make it wait a certain amount of time and then pop up. So lots and lots of power in that pop-up. And play with the pop-ups because they are really, really neat. The next one is the name, address, title, and description. All of these are SEO sensitive. And then the keywords, which is, of course, SEO sensitive. And then down here, we've got the preview on Google. And this is what the tab is going to look like when you access this website. So right now, it looks like default, and then it's got the little pipe symbol, and then there's nothing. That is manipulated by the name of the layout plus the title of the page. So the name of the layout is default, and I don't have a title. So let's call the title Shelly. Perfect. So if I put Shelly in there and then click update, it's going to have the title, which is called default, and then a little pipe symbol, and then the word Shelly. This is what helps you manipulate what's showing on the tab on your browser window when people go to your website. So they will see exactly what you want them to see on the tab. So you can manipulate what that looks like. The share image, you can upload the exact image you want to show if you share the link to this page on Facebook. So you guys have seen that where you type in a URL into Facebook and it pulls a mysterious picture up and you're like, wow, how did it get that picture? This is how. You actually put it right here. You upload the picture you want to show on Facebook when this is shared. And again, let me remind you that you can preview your web page, use that camera, and take a picture of your website. You can use that as the share image. Just an idea. And you can change that anytime you want to. Then here's another area for scripts that are required to go into the header of the page. So you can actually put those scripts right there. And then another mailing boss area where you can manipulate tags and set up tags for your page. That's a little bit advanced. We definitely won't cover that in this video. So we've covered all those settings. Remember, if you make any changes here, you need to click the little save because it's your buddy. And then you need to go to big save because it's your friend. And then right here, you've got the return button. So we can click to go back to the layout settings and then go back to all the layouts to show all the layouts. Adding a new layout is really easy. You just click the add layout button and it will give you templates that you can use, or you can use layouts that you've created already. So in all of your websites, in all of your layouts, if you have a layout that you really, really like and you want to bring it into your website, you can find one that you've already created and pull it in. Or you can go to general layouts and look at some templates, or like I do most of the time, I just pull in a blank page and then click blank and name it. We'll call it the Shelly layout, and then click confirm. And now it's added a new layout for me. If I go into that layout and click the little arrow, I can see that it's added a page for me as well, because every single layout has to have at least one page. Okay, now inside here, I'm seeing my pages in the Shelly layout. If I want to add another page, I just click add page. And I can choose from any of the template pages that are here. You can scroll down, there's a bunch of them for sure. But if you just want to add a blank page, you click blank page. And then you click blank and you name it. So this is blank page. And I'm going to click confirm. And now I've added a page into my system as well. So I've got the Shelly layout. And inside the Shelly layout, I have two pages. One of them is home one, and the other one is blank page. Now, I've just added a layout, and I've just added a page. Those are big things in BuilderAll. So you want to make sure you go up to your friend save and click it. And then that will make sure that all of the changes that you've just made are actually saved in your system. So if something happens, the power goes out, I don't know, a catastrophe happens and you're not able to, get to more on your website, you can always close everything down and then later on come back and everything you've done so far will be saved because you remember to use your friend save. All right, so that was layouts and pages, and that is in the page icon area right here. The next one is text, and that T, when you click it, this is going to help you or allow you to manage all the text that you have in your website. Now, you guys that are maybe a little bit more advanced, you may have experience with CSS or cascade styling sheets. And in the website world, that's where you set up this page that has all the information about the standard text that you're going to use inside your website. So you're going to pre-pick out your text, you're going to put it into the CSS file, and then when you build your website, you just call it over. Rather than on every page, you rebuild it, redo it, you just call it over from the CSS. And it's kind of the same idea. We're going to set it right here. And then every time I add an H1 type of font, it's going to actually grab this exact setting. It's going to be black. It's going to be this size. It's going to look exactly like this. I can change that anytime I want to. So if I don't want the H1 tag to be black, I want it to be maybe red. All I do is click on it and it opens up a box for me. So I can change what it's going to look like on the desktop. I can change what it's going to look like on the mobile. So let's see, I wanted to make the color on this one red. So I pick red and OK. And now what's happening, and it changed my mobile too. So I'm going to go back and choose black for my mobile. And what's happening now is if I grab a H1 for the desktop, it's going to be red. But if I go look at it on the mobile, it's going to actually be black. Okay, so let's test that out because I want you to see that I'm not lying. So I'm going to go to plus and I'm going to add a text box. And I'm going to grab that H1 tag. That's this one right here. So I'm going to grab it. And oh, it did not change the color. So we're going to pretend like it works. But let's take a look at that again. So the H1 should be red for the desktop view, and it should be black for the mobile view. It didn't set it up correctly. Well, let's do a save and see if it does. So we're going to save and save again. Fabulous. And now we'll go to text again and see if maybe it might grab it correctly for us. Nope. We'll send that to the developer for sure. But the way it's supposed to look is if I grab an H1 on the desktop, it should be red. And then if I go to the mobile, that actually should be black. So we'll make sure the developers get that and they can work on that for us. That's a simple fix. I bet they'll have that fixed in a matter of minutes, which is really exciting. So anyway, that's what that area does, is it lets you set up your text groups so that you can just grab that text really quickly, and there's going to be consistency throughout your website on the fonts that you're using, the size, everything's going to be really consistent. And here's why that's important, you guys. If you've ever been to a website where the fonts are wacky, right? You have one font that's like a Comic Sans, and then another font that is like Victorian elegant calligraphy, and then another font that's just Times New Roman. And you're looking at this website and there's so much confusion because there's so many differences in the font. Now, if you're doing disruptive marketing, good job. But if you're not, if you're trying to create an elegant, nice, flowing, clean website, if you're using a bunch of different types of fonts, it's going to be disruptive. And the website visitor is going to feel uncomfortable. They may not be able to identify that there's a bunch of different fonts, but they'll say, I just didn't feel comfortable on that site. So you want to make sure that your fonts are consistent, and you want to make sure that you don't use a bunch of different styles of fonts, because the more fonts you use, the slower your website loads. That's just the long and short of it. So standardize your fonts. In this area, the big T, that'll standardize your fonts. And then when you go and start adding your fonts, they're already be set up for you. You just pull them in. Now, does that mean that you can never add a crazy font in there? No, you can. Just try to keep it to a minimum so that you don't have a disruptive thing going, unless that's what you want to do. And so your page loads faster. So that's the font setup. The next area is the plus button. And when I click the plus button, there are a ton of elements. That's what this area has, is the elements that you can use for your website. There are a ton of these. There's so many. In fact, there's so many that in the certified partner group, it took us about 3 months to get through this area of the Pixel Perfect because there's just so many features here. But we've got pop-ups, we've got different types of text, we've got auto funnel tags. That's a little bit advanced, but it's a fabulous tool to use. We've got banners. You can build an entire site using banners alone. It's fabulous. We've got boxes and lines, we've got buttons, images, we've got image galleries. There's a ton of these. Go through here and play with every single one of them because they're amazing what you can do. One of the coolest ones is text. We've got these H1s, H2, H3, we've got paragraph text, but then when we go towards the bottom, we've got animated text, we've got special letter effects on the text, and then we've got some cool features where you could actually add F name in there. It's a tag where you can actually call a person out by their name. So you can actually set it up so it says, hello, Shelly, on the website. It's so cool. And then we have copy text, where if you have a bit of text that you want the person to be able to copy so they can paste it somewhere else, you can actually use that feature. And that is just in the text area, you guys. That's just that, a set of elements. So you can imagine we've got tons and tons of elements that you can use. Another one of my favorite areas is banners. So when you click banners, you got the option of just a plain colored banner. And these are just banners that go across the screen to give color and background to your website. But I want you to take a look at all of the different types of banners we have. This is amazing. You can build your entire website just using the banners and putting them in place. So let me show you what I mean by that. When we build using banners. So we're going to make sure that we put banners on our page to organize things. So if I want to start building, I click the plus, I go to banners, and I add a banner. And now on top of that banner, I'm going to add the things that I want to add to make my site pretty. And I can do that section. And when I finish that section, I can go back and I can go to banners again, and I can do another section. So there's another banner. You just click and drag that down to the bottom of the blue one. And then I use this arrow to drag up. And now I've got my second banner. So you can see how I'm already creating sections. But then if I go to the plus button and I go to banners again, I've actually got some pre-made, awesomely created and designed banners that actually almost give me content for me. So for example, this is a contact banner. If I click it, it actually adds it to my website. So there's the banner. I click it to drag it down exactly where I want it. Just like that. And now I just do a little bit of editing and my contact banner is done. I actually have created an area on my website that I can put my contact information, my store hours, and even an opt-in form if they want to send me a message. There are tons of banners like that. Let me go back to banners. They're all different colors. They're all different designs. Here's a price list. I've used this price list before. It is priceless. If you click it, you just it adds it in. You drag it down where you want it. So I add it to the bottom of my website, pull it up, and there we go. I've got a price list. I do a little bit of editing, and it's actually ready to go. It's absolutely amazing, you guys, how simple this is to pull this in, do a little bit of editing, and you can literally create your website completely from banners. Okay, so play with that a little bit and definitely look at the power of those banners. The next one, if I go to plus area, if you go all the way down, we've got some really neat things like timers. We've got checkouts. You can build a complete sales funnel, and you can even do some really cool things with blogs. So check out all of those elements and find out more that you can do with those elements. There's a ton of them. You'll be looking for a long time. The next button is the double gears. When I click the double gears, I've got a lot of power in this area because these are where the settings and the SEO are at. So the first one is GDPR configuration. I can actually set up my GDPR information right here. I can create a sitemap. I can go to my website settings and turn on my tablet and mobile to be able to edit both of those, or I can turn those off. I can do user management. If somebody signs up on your website, it's like you're selling a product or selling a service or creating a membership area, and they sign up on your website and create an account, you can manage those users right here in the user management area. The next one is user registration fields. So by default, we collect information like name and email, but you may be selling something that you need a physical address that you can add in and collect that information. So you do that right here, manage user registration fields. When you come in here, you can add the street address, the city, the state, and the zip, and you'll collect that information so that they can you actually get their mailing information to send them their product. So you'll do that right here in the user registration fields. Then we've got coupon configuration. So when you create a checkout with BuilderAll, you can actually offer coupons as well, which is a really cool feature because you guys know that everybody clamors to get 10% off or 20% off or 50% off. So a lot of times that can be the deal maker if you've got a coupon offered. So just bump your price up 10% and then offer them a 10% off coupon. Easy peasy, and you just created a customer. And then we've got manage action counters. And this is where you can add an action counter on any item that has an action. So let me show you what an action is. Let me go to a box. So we're going to go to box. Or no, we'll go to image because images have actions. So let's go to image and we'll add an image here. And when I mean action, all I mean is when you right click that item, that element, and it has the word action on it. If it has the word action on it, that means that you can actually manage a counter on that action. So every time that action happens, it counts the times that action happens that you added to that item. And actions are like they clicked on it to go to a website, they clicked on it to go to a certain page, they clicked on it to download a document. So there's a lot of actions. So you can actually monitor those actions and find out how many times they've been done, which is crazy good because that's analytics. And anytime you can look at analytics and see what's happening on your website, you can make better choices on making sure that your website is optimized and working perfectly. So this is the double gear section for settings and SEO. The next button is the chat. And when you click the shopping bag, this has all to do with checkouts and selling products on your website. So let's talk about that. The first one is the payment manager. And when you click that, you have the ability to set up whatever payment processor you want to use with your checkout system. So I can use PayPal, I can use Stripe, Braintree, Authorize.net, and I can also use some external platforms, including JVZoo or ClickBank. Most of the time, I use PayPal or Stripe. Those are my two that I use most common, but you can set it up and have it ready to go. Then you've got the sales manager. And the sales manager, if you're selling something through your website through checkout, it will actually track the sales and it will give you the information about the sale, who the user was, their email, what did they buy, and how much did they spend. It's absolutely fabulous. Whatever you sell through the checkouts is tracked. Then we've got manage automated email. And in that system, there's a default setup. And if you click the gear, you'll see that it creates an email for purchase completed if they purchase something off your website using checkout. If they have a recurring payment, it will send them an email about that. If they have a recurring payment where it's been canceled, they'll get an email about that. And there's even an abandoned cart email. And all of these are editable. So you can go in here and change the subject line. You can change the information. You can see that there's tags that you can add in there. So it will pull data and put it in for you. So it's absolutely fabulous. And this is in the manage the emails that are in the system. So if I do the shopping bag again, it's manage automated emails. Then there's manage external platform emails. So if you're using an external platform to manage these same emails, you can actually set that up there. Then we've got sales funnels. And yes, you can actually create sales funnels in the system that have upsells and downsells. It's absolutely incredible. BuilderAll's made it super easy to set up sales funnels. And then the last one is managing coupons, where you can create the coupons and set them up and deliver them out through the checkout system. So really neat stuff. And that's in the shopping bag. The next one is this newspaper looking icon. If you click on that, that allows you to add a blog into the system. It's so cool, you guys. It's one click and it adds it to the entire system. It does in the background. It adds pages and functionality and all kinds of neat stuff. And so once you click it and add a blog, you've got more pages. You can edit those pages to make that blog look exactly like you want it to. And you can really you can do some incredible things with it, and the blogs are beautiful. Just to give you an example, let me see if I can find this right quick, BuilderAll.com. We'll see if we can find the blog so you guys can see it. So here's the blog link right here. If I click it, we'll go take a look at the blog because we're using our own blog system. And there's the blog right there. It's loading, taking just a second, but you can see that it's really, really pretty. Here's the articles, and just the design of it is beautiful. And you have control to make it look how you want it to look. So in this area, they've had show the last 6 articles. If you don't want to show the last 6, you can show the last 30. If you don't want that button to be blue, you want it to be red, you can do that. If you don't want that image to be that big, you want it smaller, you can do that. If you don't like the font or the color, you can change it. If you don't like the background color, you can change it. So there's so much power in allowing you to manipulate exactly what your blog looks like. So along with that, which is another really neat thing, remember when we went to that plus area, if I go to the plus and I go all the way down to the bottom, there's blog apps. These are the little bitty apps that once you add a blog, you can use these to actually add to your website. And to show you an example of a blog app, if I go over here and look on the side, you can actually add a blog app onto the side to show like the last 6 articles, and there'll be little bitty like thumbnails. You can put categories in there. So if you want to be able to let them search for a blog article based on categories, you can actually put the categories in and they can click that. So lots of neat stuff that you can do that you can add those elements to any page, not just the blog page. So if you've got a home page and you want to put a sidebar on there that has information about your blog, that you can do that and they can click from there and go to your blog. So it's absolutely fabulous what you can do. And that's just the blog functionality. So if we go back to that area to add the blog, all you do is click that button. It's one click and it's added in. And then the last button that I'm going to show you is the shopping cart. If I click that, you've got one button again, that's create store. And this works really similar to the blog because you can click that button in the background. It's going to create the e-commerce platform for you and a bunch of pages that go with it. And then you can go in and actually edit everything on that page. So you can make it look exactly like you want it, match the colors that you want, the fonts, the styles, everything you can manipulate. And it's going to create new pages and put them right here, and you can edit all those pages. Now, this is the area that you edit the look of your store. And then remember that first button we looked at, we go all the way over here to the right-hand side and look at panel, this right here. If you click that, this allows you to manage what's in your store. So it's a control panel to add in your products, your shipping, your taxes, your categories. So remember, over here is the look of the store, and then over here is the actual content of your store. So you're going to work with those 2 areas together. Okay, so that is the Pixel Perfect Builder and all of the menus that are available to you to be able to manipulate everything and make it look exactly how you want it to look. So I just wanted to go over that with you today. I want to show you another neat thing because somebody specifically asked me for this, and that is a neat trick on how to make a disappearing box. So I'm going to take away some of these banners. So I'm going to delete that and delete that and delete that and delete that and move that footer up a little bit. And what I'm going to show you how to do is actually create a button, but hide the button for a little while so it doesn't show up. So you may have a website where you don't want them to push the button right away, right? You want to hide the button, but at some point you want it to appear. An example of this is you might have a video, but 5 minutes into the video, you might say, all right, down below this video, you should see a button now. Click that to get started. Okay, so you want to hide the button until 5 minutes in. So let's go ahead and do that, create that so you can see it. So I'm going to go to plus, and I'm going to go to buttons, and I've got tons of buttons to choose from. My favorite button, if you've ever watched any of my trainings, is this one right here, the blue button with the rounded corners. I don't know why I like that so much, but I do. So I've got the button in there, but I want to cover that button so they can't see it. So I don't want them clicking that button until 5 minutes in. So I'm going to go to the plus sign, and I'm going to go to boxes. And I'm just going to grab a box. There's the Shelly box right there. And I'm going to take this box, and I'm going to cover that button up. And I'm going to make it the same color as the background. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to appearance, and I'm going to create a button that the background color is white. And now if I click outside of that button and outside that box, the button's covered up, the box covers it up so you cannot see it. So on the live website right now, you would not see this button. Even though it's there, it's not there. The visitor can't see it. So what I want to do is I want this white box to disappear after 5 minutes. So I'm going to right click it and I'm going to go to animation. So in animation, I've got some really, really neat features I can do. There's a ton of them. I can make things bounce in, I can make it flash, I can do a rubber band, I can make it shake. But here's what I want it to do. I've got some fading things that I want to happen. So I've got a fade in, which is a fade entrance, and a fade exit, which is like a fade out. I want this one to fade out. So I'm going to click fade out. And then right here, it says, when should this occur? And the choices are that when it appears on the page, no, I don't want it to do it when it appears on the page. When someone clicks on it, no. When the mouse is hovered over it, no. When the mouse leaves it, no. When there's a timer, yes, that's it. So I'm going to click the timer. And then it says, I'm going to do a countdown or evergreen. I'm going to go ahead and do a countdown. And I'm going to set it for 5 minutes, just like that. But instead of 5 minutes, just because we're doing training and I don't want you to sit here and wait 5 minutes for this to disappear, we're going to change it and we're going to go to 5 seconds. So I'm going to set it to 5 seconds and then confirm. And now what's going to happen on the live version is that button's not going to be visible, but after 5 seconds, it should disappear. So let's see if it'll work on preview. So I'm going to click preview and we'll wait our obligatory 5 seconds. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi is not appearing. So I think I might have to go to the live version to be able to have that happen. So let's check the animation again and make sure it's got 5 seconds. It does. I'll put it at 0 right there and click confirm. And I'm going to go ahead and click save and then save again. Remember, save is my friend. So we will make sure that we have our changes saved. And then I'm going to do something amazing. I'm going to go and publish this thing and we'll see if the live one works. Because remember, when you're looking at preview, not everything always works perfectly in preview. So you have to publish and then check out the live version and see if it's working in the live version. So I'm just going to go back to my site list and go to Pixel Perfect in my sites. And remember, I named this one Playground 4. So I'm going to go in the search bar and type in play. And there's my Playground 4 right there. And I'm going to go ahead and publish this. So I'm going to go to this little world icon that when you hover over it, it says publish. And I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to click OK. And that actually makes it live on the internet so that everybody can see it if they want to see it. It reloads the site list. So I have to search for it again. So I'm going to type in play. And there's Playground 4. And if you remember, it was gray just a few minutes ago, and now it's blue. That's telling me that that's a hyperlink. And I can click right on that to be able to go to the live page. So I'm going to click it and go to the live page. And now it's actually showing a blue box instead of a white box. So let's see if we can refresh it. And remember that when you click save on any website, you're working in the HTML editor, and you click save, there's usually about a 5-minute window where between when you click save and when you actually take a look at it, it actually it doesn't appear. It takes a few minutes to get your changes. Also, I want to make sure that I'm on the right page. I'm actually in this particular layout, and so it's looking at a different page as the home page. So I'm going to change the page that I'm on to become the home page. All right, so this is the page that I'm on right now, is the blank page. So I'm going to click my gear to go inside of it, and I'm going to go up to my page settings right here, and I'm going to click home. And what that does is that changes it so that this page is now the home page. So if I go to this main website, this will be the first page that shows. I have to click save because he's my buddy, and then I have to click big save because he's my friend. And now we should have those changes saved, and we should be showing that page as the home page. Let's go back to the live version and refresh it and see if we get that version. So there we go. It's actually got the button, and we'll refresh it to see if that box will hide the button. And it's not hiding it. So we want to make sure that this button or this box actually is on the top. So we'll right click it. And right here we've got layering. And I can click one button to bring it to the front and then another button to bring it all the way to the back. So I can actually layer things in this particular setup as well. So it's set up to be all the way at the front, and the button, we'll right click that one and check the layering on that. And we can bring it towards the front or we can send it towards the back. It's all the way back as far as it's going to go, so it looks fine. So we'll put that back over it, and then we'll click save and save again. And let's try one more time to see if it will get it. So I'm going to go here and click refresh. And it's just not quite working for me now. Let me do a Control F5. And yep, it's just not quite working. So we'll just play with that later. But that's how you can actually hide things and then have them show up later. So play with that a little bit and see if you can get it to work and see what it does for you. I'm going to stop sharing and check in on you guys. So I'm going to do some upgrades because you guys have been hiding really well, really quiet today. So any questions for you guys? No questions? All right, guys, if there are no questions, then I'm going to go ahead and jump out. We've been together for about an hour, but check out that Pixel Perfect Builder. Check out those menu items. Go back through the training and make sure you understand what all those buttons do, because that is a huge part of being able to use the Pixel Perfect, is understanding those buttons and how they work. Take a look at all of those elements. Remember that in the certified partner training, it took us about 3 months doing training every single weekday for 2 to 3 hours to be able to master all of those elements. So there's a ton of them. You will never get bored with BuilderAll. That's just about a guarantee. And then make sure to catch me next week on Wednesday morning again, and I'll do some more training on some more really cool things that I can show you how to do in the Pixel Perfect Builder. And we'll get you using those tools and learning those tools so you can keep building and growing your business, okay? All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and bail. You guys have a great day. And remember, tomorrow's payday. So, yay. Bye, guys. I'll see you next week.